Football without fans are nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch it, it becomes nothing.
Johnston. And a goal by Johnston. That makes it 2 by him.
We were magnificent. Magnificent.
Is it playing?
Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson. That is sensational. Nakamura.
The game is over. The Rebels have won.
He's done it! Garvin's put it in, and without a doubt, the European Cup is on its way.
We'll never stop. We'll stop at half time and we'll stop at the end of the game when we celebrate.
Good evening and welcome to another episode, and a very happy episode of the Jungle Junks podcast. Yeah! Today is Thursday, the 3rd of February 2022, and without a shadow of a doubt, of all the episodes that we've done so far as a podcast, this has been the one I've been most looking forward to. My voice, my throat yesterday at halftime was already gone, but I've shown the powers of recovery, only resembling Tyson Fury after getting knocked down by Deontay Wilder, and I'm back in full voice. Guys, how are you doing? Have you prized yourself from the ceiling after last night?
Unfortunately, I had to go to work at 6 o'clock this morning, so it was a well-enjoyed game, but an early night. So I am all for the celebrations tonight, guys. Bring it.
Brilliant. Paddy, have you sobered up?
Mate, I've only managed to pry myself off the flare the last couple of hours ago. I am rough as get out, but you know what, mate? It's worth every fucking bit of fucking pain and agony and illness. What a night, Gav.
Self-inflicted.
Night. Hey, what, mate?
Self-inflicted.
Aye, absolutely. And I'm having to date my phone tonight. I think even my laptop's got a fucking hangover. That's like to go mental.
With the ceiling down at the floor, gravity is inevitable. Guys, like last night, who've we got? Who's in the building so far?
We've got Derek Gray saying the evening troops, and we have Del from the Celtic Sports Podcast also calling Paddy a banger.
Very happy, very happy even to you both. Very happy even. Guys, last night, it was the biggest show in town. Not just in Scotland, but in the UK, in the world, because there's the winter break for so many European leagues right now. All eyes from the world were on Glasgow tonight, and Parkhead was heaving. It was rocking. It was raging. It was doing everything. Everybody was like reacting in unison. At one point, everybody was doing the Bruni. Guys, it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever witnessed at Celtic Park for an Old Firm game. Paddy, if you were to reminisce down the years, is it comparison to maybe, I don't know, the 6-2 game, the 5-1 game?
Gav, I was sitting. I was sitting and I was just taking in the atmosphere for a couple of minutes, and see the longer it went on, mate. It was as if it was like one of the moments, mate, when you felt as if like kind of a life force was being taken out of you, and it was being all fucking put in to the stadium, mate. It was electric. It was fucking it was atmospheric. It was incredible, and I've not seen anything like that since Martin O'Neill's come into Celtic. And I know obviously like Barcelona was a magical night, an absolutely fantastic magical night. But that last night, Gav, was the best in fucking in a couple of decades. Absolutely brilliant.
Mate, 100%. McGinty, never has a truer word been spoken where you don't need to live in a 5-10 mile radius of Parkhead to be a Celtic fan, because we're spread all over the world. So describe your night from the Shetland Islands. What was it like? the anticipation before kickoff, and then the actual game, and afterwards. Just describe briefly what it was like for you, mate.
I mean, up here's quite a nice, quaint, quiet place, so there wasn't any fever pitch kind of atmosphere building or anything like that. It was just a normal day, go to my work, kind of come home, get myself settled and do all the usual stuff, then build myself up for the game. But I went through all the usual emotions when you come up to these big games, European nights and games against Rangers and cup finals and stuff like that, where you're quietly confident coming up to the game for a few days. You start thinking of the permutations of the lineup and wondering what's gonna kind of unfold. of the day, we're all panicking. Oh Christ, what we're going to happen here? We're going to play McCarthy, or we're going to play Beaton, or we're going to play Sorrow, we're going to play who are we going to play? And then the lineup comes out, the nerves go away. You see that lineup. I'll let you run through it in a moment, Gavin. But once that comes out, I lose all nerves. I lose all kind of. I'll accept just a 1-0 win here. As soon as that lineup comes up, you just knew it. You knew it was destiny, that something was going to happen. And what a game. I have not seen a game of football like that from Celtic in God knows how many years. That's exactly the football I want to see Celtic play every day of the week, every day of the season. And I want to see it all day long. It was almost a perfect, in fact, it was a perfect game of football.
See when you're talking about the lineup, McGinty, I don't know if any of you noticed it, but the lineup never even got announced until probably the very last moment. There wasn't even any hints in a team. There wasn't any kind of leaks or any of this and that.
I hadn't seen anything, no.
I was standing outside Celtic Park, and it was only until, in fact, it was after the Celtic team bus went in, and you're talking maybe that's about 35 minutes, 40 minutes to go. And it was about 10 minutes after that the news started coming through the lineup. So for me, I think Postecoglou has been quite cute again by keeping that news to himself until the very last moment, which was obviously McGregor was starting, because they've probably set their stall out with a game plan, not including McGregor. They've probably done a few scenarios right enough, but they've maybe went in there with that mentality. They're saying that McGregor's probably not going to start. He's not going to be fit. And then who turns up? The fucking Phantom of the Opera.
I want to kind of touch on both of those points.
Superhero.
Touch on both of those points, Paddy, for you. In terms of the lineup being announced close to kickoff, I think we can all be rest assured that little rat, that little weasel that we had in our squad that was leaking the news, the team lineups before games, well and truly gone. Yeah. And McGinty, in terms of the drama about the lineup getting announced and Callum McGregor being included, in terms of the theatrics, I could almost hear that Andrew Lloyd Webber tuning in the background as the Phantom of the Opera appeared with the mask on Callum McGregor, and what a performance it was. But Paddy, before we actually go into the lineup, before we get into the game, and by the way, there's just so much to talk about. I am buzzing right now. Before I ask you that one wee question about describe the experience of your full night, just for Kenny, seen many games, but last night, everyone, and I mean everyone, was together. Manager, players, supporters, and even the ball boys. Yes, they were. Even the ball boys were winning their 50-50s, Kenny. Walking up to the game, there was no negativity whatsoever. Mate, absolutely. Brilliant comment. Paddy, in your own words, describe your evening before we go into other topics, man.
Mate, it was just one of the nights, like, the atmosphere was fucking total electric in the air, not even before you go to the stadium. You're walking up to the stadium and everybody's buzzing, because as we've spoke about, it's been quite publicly known, it's been over 2 years since we've played them at Celtic Park. It's the first time that we've played them in a weeknight game under the lights. So everything about that, and you incorporate in the fact that we haven't beat them in over a year, COVID fucking sanctions and lockdowns that's slowly coming to an end. This is all building up, and this has built up tension and fucking. Oh mate, it's do you know what? It's just a great night, great feeling. Obviously, a fucking magnificent result. But I think, judging for that comment there for Sean, everybody was together. Aye, it was, because see, we've spoke about this recently. On a few pods, and people have spoke about it as well. Look at the scenario what happened with the Green Brigade a couple of months ago. When they were having their protests and that, right? It was hardly noise because nobody else was making any noise, other than a few kind of pockets. The boys up the top, a few wee kind of clusters here and there. But see, last night, everybody to a man was fucking singing. It was like being back. It was like being back in the 90s. That's the only way I can describe it. There were
back in the jungle?
Not well, possibly, aye, but I'm talking about the last kind of era when everybody was up, bouncing up, singing. Nobody wanted to sit down, but you obviously ended up sitting down at one point. But there were grown men fucking dancing and singing. There was guys. I seen a guy with a walking stick. His walking stick's up in there. You know what I mean? That's what you used to see. You used to see fucking people rising like Lazarus. You know what I mean? People that couldn't walk, and the next minute this whole the Celtic, the atmosphere, everything is fucking. It's getting you up off your seat, and that's what we got last night. And everything to a man was fucking phenomenal.
There was everything.
See the work that the Green Brigade done last night with their tifos, incredible. The one at the start with the flames and the fire, send the fucking Huns back to hell or whatever it was. Amazing, absolutely amazing. You'd walk on. It was a resounding fucking version around the stadium. We hardly hear that now. You hardly hear walk on.
Just as you're saying on walk on there, I think that was one of the best renditions I've seen.
You'll never walk on. Sorry, never let me walk on.
Why am I repeating what you're saying? One of the best renditions of that I've ever seen. You've heard a lot more, but see that while the huddle's going with the green lights on, blackness everywhere else, dotted green lights, as you can see on our profile picture from one of the European nights, I think last year. It was just fantastic. The atmosphere was building all the way through the build-up and straight into the game. It just never let up at all. I think that was one of the best You'll Never Walk Alones that I've witnessed. Just visually, it was so appealing. And I don't want to say too much about it, but the debate is not, it's not even a debate. The argument of the point scoring has been going on for a couple of weeks. I wouldn't let them anywhere near Celtic Park again. And I would play them in an evening match every time if we can get atmospheres like that, because that was unbelievable. Packed, full Celtic fans, dark, nighttime, green lights, atmosphere. It was not the fans were on top form.
One thing that I came across again, and it's not yet been confirmed. Is there a wee echo? No, it's gone.
It's on.
That's fine. One thing is yet to be confirmed, but because there was no Rangers fans, and therefore there was no segregation required from the stewards, I believe that this was the highest ever attendance at Parkhead. Still to be confirmed, but that is an interesting concept. And just to kind of finally touch on the atmosphere, yes, it was one of the best renditions ever. And Paddy, what you said that, you know, Celtic Park, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I don't think I've remembered anything like it for many, many, many a year. And if this season goes the way that things are unfolding, the way that things are going down a certain pathway, if it does conclude the way that we hope it will, then this game will be historically remembered. It will be talked about in the same vein as the 5-1 game, the 6-2 game. And I just need to give out a wee shout out to my dad, who actually gave me his season ticket for last night. And he already regrets it. He was like phoning me up when I was driving home. And he was saying, "I can't believe I gave you that ticket. I want it back. I want it back." So he can't take it back now. You know what I mean? That's what happened. And we've got Kenny here. We had them beat before a ball was kicked. When the players did the huddle with the green lights on them. Yes, the disco lights were looking beautiful.
Well, see what Kenny said there, Gav. See, even before the players get into the stadium, the Rangers bus, 2 of them turned up first, 2 parts coaches. See, when they get out, mate, they were met with a barrage of, I don't want to say abuse, but they were intimidated. No, nothing like that. Nothing deviant or devious or anything like that. Just fucking like the odd booze and fucking this and that. But it was as soon as they got off the bus, they were basically met with a fucking sea of antagonising for the Celtic supporters. They were under the illusion that they were in the lines then again, you know. And then about roughly 5 minutes later, 7 minutes later, something like that, the Celtic team buses turned up. Same again, 2 buses. Players get off, and fucking the front erupted, absolutely erupted. So well, you can see where the fucking yin and yang is. You know what I mean? They have been told on no uncertain terms that they're in the fucking lines then, the cauldron. And our players, as soon as they're there, they're getting propelled with the atmosphere. And whatever they go outside, they go fucking 1,000-fold inside the stadium.
10-fold, 1,000-fold. Yeah. McGinty, before the game kicked off, me and Paddy had did our predictions. I went for a 2-0 to Celtic. Paddy went for a 3-1 to Celtic. Do you remember what your gut feeling was going into the game?
Yeah, I went for 3-1. I posted on the Twitter account. I thought I'll go with 3-1. At that point, the lineup hadn't been announced. I was expecting McCarthy to be in there, and the game was going to be slow and all that kind of jazz. I thought, well, you're going to have to give them one goal, but I went for 3-1.
Okay.
So happy to be proven wrong with that one. Close, but rang.
Okay. Right, the lineup itself. Okay, so the back five took care of itself. Taylor and Juranovic, the fullbacks, Starfelt and Cameron Carter-Vickers with Hart and goal. Moving into the midfield, that's where the talk of the town was. Who would play in the number 6 role? We knew that Callum McGregor had trained the day before, but would he or would he not start? But yes, the Phantom of the Opera did start, and that's going to be a funny nickname if it ever starts with him. I don't know if he'll ever like that, but he's got it for the time being anyway. So McGregor in the hole. You've got O'Reilly and you've got Hatate. And up front, you've got Giakoumakis up the middle, Jota and Abada. Now, McGinty, I think before the game, you wanted Abada to go up through the middle. You wanted Giakoumakis to be on the bench. So you wanted Jota, Forrest, Abada in the middle. Me and Paddy slightly disagreed. And I understand both ways, because sometimes playing a physical striker plays into the hands of the defender. But in hindsight it's 2020, of course. How do you think Giakoumakis played? And then we'll just talk through everything about the game.
One of the best performances that I've seen from a striker without scoring a goal. He played on that line something awful, something brilliantly awful. I mean, the link-up play on the right-hand side between Juranovic, O'Reilly and Abada was sublime. And so many times in that first half, the crosses coming in that Giakoumakis could have had a hat-trick from them alone, let alone the shot from Jota that was a double save from McGregor that Giakoumakis had the header on. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I have been one of his biggest critics. I think he had a purple season last season and all that stuff. His stats before last season were not the greatest at all. Up to this point, I'm not sure I see it. He's been injured a lot. I'm struggling to see what he brings. But after last night, that was a fantastic performance from a guy. And he deserved a goal. He really, really deserved a goal. And I just hope that even though he didn't get that goal, I hope that still that is the making of him. Because if he can do that every game that he plays for us, he will offer us something completely different up front as opposed to what Kyogo and Maeda can bring to the team. And he'll give us that kind of physicality and that kind of focal point rather than the fluid, dynamic play that Kyogo and Maeda would give us. So it would give us something else and something different. But I thought Big Giakoumakis was fantastic last night. The whole team was, but Giakoumakis definitely standout performance from him. Fantastic.
Paddy, I think that's a really fair comment that McGinty makes, because you can't fault the guy for trying, you can't fault him for enthusiasm. But if you're not going to score for your team, then at least enable other people around you to score. So what was your thoughts on the whole lineup in general, but especially the front three, and of course the McGregor question too?
Well, clearly McGregor was a surprise. Maeda as well, being named on the bench was a big surprise as well. Great surprises. Without getting into too much detail on one person, what I will say is, before I do that, is that entire team that started, there was not one bad performance, there was not one average performance. Every single player in that starting 11 was fucking magnificent.
Taylor included.
Who?
Taylor included.
Absolutely. That is
phenomenal
by far,
game from him.
that is by far Greg Taylor's best game for Celtic. That is the best performance from a left back this season. So that's the standard. That's the standard that we need for Greg Taylor. He needs to continue on with that, because he's shown to everybody how good he can be. It's no use doing that against them if he can't go and do it against a Dundee United or a Livingston or whatever. He needs to continue on with that, because that was absolutely sensational. The two in the middle, Starfelt and Vickers, wow. I say that we needed a massive game for the two of them. They were fucking rock solid. Apart from one or two maybe slack passes for Starfelt that I'm not even going to pick on. The guy was rock solid, aggressive in the right way. Picked up a booking, but
I think that booking was quite harsh. For the first challenge sort of thing, I think it was quite soft anyway. I can see kind of why it's given, because he was breaking through and he's kind of came from behind to pull him down sort of idea. But for me, I think that was very soft because it was the first foul that Starfelt put in. Because up to that point, he'd done 2 or 3 great challenges.
We got an echo again.
Aye, sorry, it's just on Paddy's phone, so we'll try and mute him every so often. But obviously, yeah.
Aye, okay, so the lineup, brilliant. And by the way, I know that we'll talk about individual performances. McGregor, I just feel as if I'm kind of gravitating towards that. He just played the day before for training with the first team, and then obviously he probably might have trained in the morning, early afternoon before the game. He proved his fitness, but he would have been dying. He would have been dying to play. To fight through the pain barrier, to play in that game. And that is an historical match for him. It's the first Celtic and Rangers game that he's been captain of that he's won. And he witnessed Scott Brown have so many accolades as captain, but that's the first notch on his belt as a Celtic captain. And the guy played brilliantly. I know that you could maybe level a slight criticism at McGregor for the past 5 or so games and previously that might not have been performing at his proper standards. But if you take into account what he's had to battle through to make it to into that first team, I thought he played magnificently. Who would pick up the baton for McGregor's performance overall? He was cajoling everybody. He was up. He was back. He was fantastic. Captain fantastic.
I'll let Paddy run with this one.
Aye, listen, I can't disagree with that anymore. He's stood up, came back he's come back to the game early with fucking broken bones in his cheek. He's wearing a face mask and he's stood up and he has been captain fantastic in that game. Everything he done, just showed leadership by example. He was getting in, he was winning every single ball that he went for. He was pressing. He never gave that mob a minute's peace. Every one of his passes were sharp, crisp, and meaningful. And just you could see it. Everything he did, he was just trying to bring everybody, his teammates, round about him to get them up to certain levels, and they done it. And the one that's the shining moment for that is when Barisic had the ball on the left hand side and he's coming forward, and McGregor's harrying him, right, and he's right in his face, and Barisic actually turns around rather than trying to take McGregor on the right hand side, which is Barisic's side on his left foot. He's fucking shat himself. He's turned away and he started to give the ball back. And right away, somebody zoomed into McGregor's face. He's going like, "Yeah, shite bag." That was it. Every single one. And that was it. That was it. That was the tone of the day, right? Because this is something that I've been fucking absolutely desperate to see for this team, is a total commitment to fucking winning everything, right? Ange just spoke about the pressing intensity. We've saw that before, but last night was the biggest culmination of that. Everybody was pressing, and it showed the fitness levels, the fucking hunger, the desire for everybody. But what they were doing last night is they were fucking tackling with like a sort of a
controlled aggression. That's
controlled aggression. Starfelt and Vickers fucking absolutely bullied Roof. They tore the roof off of him. You know, Taylor was fucking. He was like he looked as if he was on steroids. He was tackling everybody. He was throwing guys out the way. Juranovic was fucking. That's one of the best right back performances I've ever seen.
It was absolutely phenomenal. And just pick up on that one as well before you run through the midfield. I know that I'll hold my hands up, much like Giamacca's. I've not been Ralston's biggest fan, and I've been sitting here waiting for Ralston to show form of previous seasons, but he's never done it this season. And all credit to Ralston. You guys have backed him from the start, especially you, Gav. Ralston has been fantastic this season. He deserves his place in this squad. But see, after last night's performance of Juranovic has proven why we spent £3 million or so on a proven right-back international. That is Juranovic's position for the foreseeable. Ralston doesn't get a look in anymore, unfortunately.
That ends the debate, didn't it? Totally
completely.
Who's the best right back?
As you said earlier as well, Paddy, if Taylor can do what he did last night every time he steps on the field for Celtic, he'll keep that left back position as well. And it's not the first time Taylor's had a superb game. It's just unfortunate he's only had maybe 4 or 5 superb games for Celtic over the last 2 or 3 years. But if you can pull those performances out his arse every week, he's got left back position as well.
Well, listen, we Greg Taylor has come in for plenty of stick. Some of it's, most of it's deserved, I think, right? Some of it's they've been overly critical, but this is what we're here to do.
Brilliant in the cup final. I will say that. Brilliant in the cup final.
Yeah.
Yep. But Greg Taylor was up against what's his face, the wee guy from Man United, right? Everybody that's been fucking bumming him up, saying he's signed for £35 million, right? Okay, if that's the way you want to play it, let's look at that on paper then. Greg Taylor absolutely bossed a £35 million player last night. Bossed him. Is that
really how much it was worth? £35 million?
Aye, I think it's like...
I think it was an £18 million with shitloads of add-ons and stuff like that. But Rangers' logics, they always want to buff that up and claim. Same with the Patterson, 16 million, when realistically, I think it was like 5 million up front they got from some crap like that. They'll always bum themselves up.
And that's my point. If that's the road that they want to go down, well, we'll go down that road. I know then. Greg Taylor totally fucking bossed £35 million, man. And on the other side, Juranovic, fucking, what's his name? Clark Kent. He never had a chance last night. Juranovic had every fucking fibre to his body trapped in his pocket at one point.
Was unbelievable.
Kent is his biggest attribute against us the last season and since he's come in has been his pace and his quick turn to go inside. He tried that at every turn, right? But guess who was there at every turn? Juranovic. Guess who was fucking beating him for pace when Kent was already running it? Juranovic and getting the momentum. Juranovic has come and beat him, and he's still beating him for pace. Juranovic absolutely bossed him. So that's their biggest threats, was down the wings, and fucking Celtic absolutely annihilated them everywhere.
Was it no Kent that was running down the left wing when they broke on a counter? I think it was from a corner that we had, and Hatate came from the far end opposite corner and sprinted the entire diagonal length of the pitch to get to the point where Kent normally would have done his little quick stop, turn the play and take the shot. And Hatate just waltzes up beside him, basically takes one look at him and just says, "Nah, mate," and lets the ball go. He's like, "Nah, done." Absolutely put the shits right into Kent. He had nothing. He's lived off and dined on that bloody turn that he did on, was it Boyata? When Boyata pulled his hammy, I think it was. He's dined on that for years now. No, he had nothing last night.
I want to say a few things. You guys talk for hours. Right, Josip Juranovic, I totally agree with you. He had Kent in his back pocket. I was obvious to see at one point Kent was determined to outpace him. He kicked ahead of him, and Kent is so used to that. His pace being the one attribute, that one physicality that nobody can match him in the SPL. But Juranovic was determined to shoulder him out the way, and he did it fairly, and Kent could not take it. And he actually, right after that moment, because Juranovic managed to collect the ball, he turned around and he hit it off Kent, and they went out for a Celtic, I don't know, a throw in or a goal kick. But Juranovic, at that point, you can see that he was enjoying himself. He was laughing with that big smile on his face. And I just want to say that Juranovic not only stifled Kent, but he not only excelled in defence, he excelled in attack as well. The right-hand side for Celtic was the most potent at exposing Rangers' deficiencies last night, and Juranovic was a major part of that. And you remember the Panenka against Real Betis, and me growing about, you probably get bored of it, me calling him calm as a Hindu cow. How calm did he look last night? I know that Rio Hatate got man of the match, but Hatate, apart from that, got man of the match in our eyes. I think that he is the man for the big occasion. Would anyone disagree with that?
Juranovic. He plays alongside Modric. He plays alongside Kovacic. And I read one interview with him talking about the experience, the exposure that he gets with playing with people at such a high world level. And he says the main thing that he's learnt from those guys is whenever you've got the ball, when everybody's going crazy, you be calm. That's the one thing I read from his interview that really resounded with me. And I think he is the man for the big occasion, as he proved in Europe and as he's proved in the Celtic and Rangers game. Guys, I know that there's like several flashpoints in the first half. I guess we can get to that.
I do have a few other points. There's just so many things to talk
Guys,
about.
I just love that we're half an hour into this podcast and we scored the first goal within 5 minutes of the night last night, and we've not even got to the goals yet. And we're 30 minutes into a podcast. I'm not criticising us, but that's how good the feeling is.
Fucking get it going, like.
No. It's just that's how good and excited and happy we are with last night. We could talk for hours here. This is brilliant.
Right,
Let's
100%.
Moments.
Right. Okay, so the first goal is Rio Hatate. And by the way, I will kick myself if I do not say this. So this is how many games has he had? Three for Celtic? I don't know.
4.
But is it 4? 3 or 4?
I think it's 3 goals in 4 games, something like that, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, my stat is still brilliant anyway. He scored 3 goals for Celtic. All of them are outside the box. How funny, how brilliant is that?
I seen a stat today as well. He scored more Old Firm goals in 45 minutes than Chris Boyd did in his entire career. Get up!
Right, okay, so Hatate's first goal, I believe it was a set piece, and by the way, that's quite a noticeable mention for the new boy, Matt O'Reilly. He's been deputised as the set piece taker, and I thought he did very, very well. So he was in charge of the set pieces, a great looking delivery that he put in. It was headed away. I think two Rangers players clashed with each other in their organisation at set pieces, which we are so used to. But the ball falls to Hatate. So on the left-hand side of the box, just outside, and he sizes it up, and he's got the calmness to let it bounce. Not many people
how calm was he?
The presence of mind.
How calm was he, Gavin?
Mate, he knew what he was doing. He was letting...
Come on, you've missed that one there.
Didn't he?
How calm was he?
Calm as a Hindu cow.
Thank you.
Indeed, but for me, that's reserved towards Juranovic. I think that'd be blasphemy at this point now to change it onto another player. But yeah, he was calm as sushi. Let's call it that. It's never going to catch on. But anyway, so he sizes it up and he's aiming for the far corner anyway. But all right, Kevin, how you doing, pal? Aiming for the far corner, he hits a shot. I think it rebounds slightly off Kamara, and it goes in. It evades McGregor, and that's you 1-0. 5 minutes in, Paddy. We know that we need to start early in a Celtic and Rangers game, but that was proper early. That set the tone.
Of course it was. I just seen Joseph Agnew popping up there. Joseph, you've been kind of commenting for we started up, mate, and this is obviously. This will be your first time commenting after a Celtic win against that mob. So let us know how you felt after it, mate. How you're still feeling the new. I'd love to hear from you. But Gav, listen, 4 minutes in and Hatate scores. You know, fucking the place erupted. It was like a volcanic eruption. That's what it was like. Just a noise. The fucking it was sensational, mate. There were guys fucking. There were a couple of guys greeting. Seen guys greeting. Just with that. Like emotional outburst, because there's been all these mitigating factors, all the outside factors as well, and then obviously scoring the first goal as early as that. Looking back on it today, Hatate done incredible, right? As you say, he's on the left hand side. The ball falls to him. He shapes up to shoot, but he's got to fucking turn his body just ever so slightly, and he still hits it at an awkward angle with his right foot because he's leaning more towards the right, but he's having to shift over to the left to get it into the angle that he got it, which was great. And I think it took the slightest deflections off of somebody's foot, but it doesn't matter because he still kicked it in the direction, still went in. It's a goal, right? Brilliant take. But all the talk again today has been fucking for certain sectors, i.e. Neil McCann with his daft wee book, fucking Alex Ray with his wee nude nut, Boyd with his fucking fake plastic teeth, everybody that you can imagine are all giving it, it shouldn't have counted because there was a head knock. Right, well, I've looked at that up 10 times. The two guys clashed into each other, right? It was a Rebo that ran into Bassey, I think, as the balls come in. A Rebo's tried to attack the ball. He's jumped up to header it. He must have flicked Bassey on the face with his hand or something, right? Bassey's been doing as if he's been fucked or with a sledgehammer, right? Total play acting. So is Aribo. Aribo's looked up. But by the time that they've actually hit the deck, Hatate's already scored. So there was no reason.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Look, I'm sorry, I'm really interrupting, but I think because every referee shites himself now about I know that head knocks are a massive thing in football, and Chris Sutton has been a massive ambassador for that issue. But if a referee stops a game every time that there's a head issue, just playing devil's advocate here, maybe with a Celtic fan point of view, but if every referee stops the game whenever it's a head issue, then players are going to be streetwise and say, "Oh, we've got a set piece. I'll just go down right now." I could be wrong.
But that's what they do anyway. But the whole point of the argument, Gav, is that regardless of whether it was a head knock or no, which I don't think it was, the two of them are at it, right? You look back at slow motion. So they were saying last night that it was like a double head knock. A rebound had stuck his head on him, tried to head on the ball, but it didn't. It was his hand. It scuffed the side of his face, right? So whoever Bassett was, sorry, that fell with the floor, he's totally fucking play acting. But regardless of that,
he was joking 2 minutes later. As soon as he went out, he was joking back.
Exactly. They're at it. They've been doing in the box trying to fucking get the play stopped, right? But regardless of that, the ball's fell to Hatate, and he's scored by the time that the referee has got any chance to even look at it and kind of figure out if it's been a head knock. He doesn't need to blow as soon as the guy hits the deck because it's a collision. Do you know what I mean? The only thing they need to stop is for a head knock. How does he know it's for a head knock? It's not as if the guy's like pointing towards his head or rolling about on top of his head. The guy's just fell.
Exactly.
It's a goal.
For me, there's no debating as a goal, and it's them on themselves. It wasn't a foul by us, so there's no need to blow the whistle to stop it. As you say, there's no obvious head knock in that, and the replay showed that it wasn't a head on head. It was a hand to a face sort of thing. For me, the only weird thing out of this whole issue, other than the goal being an absolute fantastic goal, was why was the referee having to talk to his linesman for so long after the fact? What was the discussion really happening? Because the players were back up on their feet, and there was no concern from the Rangers players or the Rangers staff about a head knock. So nobody cared about a head knock. So what was the referee and the linesman actually trying to discuss? What was going to be the outcome of that? Because there wasn't a head knock. They know it wasn't.
I think what they were probably trying to discuss was they were trying to find a way that they could actually...
how can we chop this off?
Because as you said, it was the two Rangers players that collided with each other. So it's not as if they were fouled. It's not as if the referee can then go back and look at it and say, right, well, maybe one of them was pushed or kicked or whatever. You know, the two of them ran into each other. So that's their own fucking fault. It's a legal goal. Anybody that's moaning about it can go and take a flying fuck to yourself. It's clutching at straws. He's just trying to fucking find any excuse other than he's a shite and we scored more goals than he's get up his.
Hey, calm down, Fred Durst. It's okay, mate. It's okay.
You've been waiting for that one.
Right, okay, but right after that, I think Tavernier makes an error. Tavernier, obviously the Rangers captain, right back. He makes an error, and Jota comes in and he takes a shot down the throat of the Rangers goal. McGregor, it's straight at him, to be honest, it's straight at him, and he pushes it up, he parries it up, and then it floats over, and Giakoumakis rises up above Connor Goldson, I believe it is, and it's one of the ones where you need like a lot of neck muscles after rising to actually get it, not even just on target, but powerful to get it on either side of the keeper. Unfortunately, it goes straight at McGregor. So that was kind of two kind of like double saves that McGregor. It was a double save that McGregor made off the Jota shot and the Giakoumakis header. I got the fans off their feet. I got the commentators howling. For me, whenever I saw the replay after the game, I just thought it was a standard save for McGregor. I know that McGregor has been the thorn in our side. And at that point, it's only 1-0. And then I see two saves from McGregor. And the stadium at the time, I'm thinking, oh no, is it going to be one of the nights where McGregor kind of bails them out? And maybe later on, they might get an equaliser. McGinty, what was your thoughts at that point?
Sorry, I've been reading some of these comments. At what point?
At the point where McGregor makes a double save from Jota and Giakoumakis, were you thinking it could be one of those nights where Rangers might claw it back, where it's only 1-0, it's still on a bit of a precipice?
No, at that point, I was already sold on the opening 5-10 minutes. It was electric. It was high tempo. It was everything that we want to see from Celtic Football Club. It was a fantastic start. There was no worries. Once that first goal went in, especially in 5 minutes, there's no worries for me that we weren't going to get another goal, another 2 goals, or another 5 goals that it could have been by half time. It was just one of those battering down. The more times we've done that double save for McGregor, which credit where it's due, it was a good double save. But it just showed me that we had them. That was 2 clear gilt-edged chances we had within seconds in their box, and they didn't know what to do. They couldn't handle us. The only thing that stopped it being bigger scoreline was McGregor. And for me, at that point, there's no fear. Everything, you knew how the atmosphere, the way we started, we're in their faces all the time, we're harassing them to get the ball back. Everything was playing our way. There's no fear at that point that we weren't going to score more goals. I had no doubts.
I like it. Paddy, I know that you wanted Agnew to put on a wee comment. What was his comment there, mate, if you can bring it up? Oh. Hi, buzzing.
I'll let you read it, Gav.
So, hail, buzzing. Not calmed down yet. So good. But we need to calm down and sort Sunday out. Yeah, mate. Sometimes we do need calm heads for the occasion for this weekend coming. Paddy, saw you on Juddy pre-match. Brilliant. Were you sitting beside him? Looked like you. Hail.
Aye, mate, I was sitting beside Big Juddy. He was doing his vlog last night. That's his vlog of the year, and he's fucking absolutely smashed. I think he's got, last time I checked, it like 60,000 or something. Unfortunately, good pal Del for the Celtic supporters podcast. He's on the night, by the way. He's on at 9 o'clock with JB's dad. It's supposed to be a really close to the bone interview in terms of some things that's going to come out. Nothing bad against the family or anything, just some of the social media stuff aimed towards them. So if anybody's available after that, get a wee watch. But Dale couldn't make it to the game, so he gave me his ticket sitting beside Big Juddy. So I know Dale's kind of still greeting into his cornflakes this morning that he couldn't go, but...
Paddy, just kind of building on that, so we'll finish off the second half. But the second half was golden. I don't think I remember. Sorry, I don't think I remember a first half quite like that. But the second Rio Hatate goal was. It was like poetry in motion. It was attacking. It was interchangeable play down the right-hand side. It was Juranovic. You had O'Reilly. You had Abada. By the way, we'll talk about Abada later on. I thought you had a brilliant game. And, of course, it was finished off by Hatate. Now, that type of finish for Hatate, again, outside the box, the ball comes to him, was laid off by Abada. And he's got Connor Goldson in front of him, and he's got the wherewithal to actually curl it around him, use him as a blocking tool against Alan McGregor in the goals. McGregor reacted to it too late. His 40-year-old reactions were just a wee bit too short, and it was a beautiful goal, mate. And he turned around, and I know that everybody's going to say it, but it was very, very Lubo-esque, the way that he kind of turned around and he soaked in the atmosphere. He's like, I've arrived in Glasgow. This is what it's like, guy. Mate,
I actually thought it was Jota that scored the goal at first. I was going to have my nut, it wasn't until the guy announced it on the thing that it was like Hatate, and I was like, wow. But no, listen, it was a beautiful, well taken goal. He had the gumption and the balls to fucking take that shot for the angle it was at, and it was sweet enough just to curve round, as you say. But listen, Hatate is just. We spoke about the Japanese boys that was coming in at the start of January, and Hatate was the one that a lot of us were kind of we were looking forward to seeing because we didn't know too much about him. Obviously, Maeda had been spoken about.
The utility player, yes.
I couldn't imagine any other position apart from the one we're playing in. That box to box midfielder, I don't understand how he could be a left back. He's just so natural.
He's a midfielder, and that's where he's
every day of the week.
But see the thing that surprised me.
Sorry, engine for midfield. There's no mistaking that.
No, he's the star man in midfield now until somebody knocks him off his perch. But what has surprised me most about Hatate, right? Apart from the fact that he's absolutely taken this club by storm with his performances, it's his attitude and it's his application. The guy is so fucking determined at every single thing he does, whether it's his passing, whether it's his positional sense, whether it's backing up the striker, getting forward and supporting the wingers. You know, when when a couple of defenders are closing them down, he's there, he's here, he's everywhere. His engine is fucking never ending. What surprised me most about him is his strength. The wee guy is, I say he's wee, I'm not actually sure what size is and height, but he is fucking solid. He was going through people like fucking hot butter through margarine. And you look at that one that you said at the start, Gav. I didn't actually realise how far he had ran until I seen it this morning on the playback. He ran for the opposition goal all the way back to make a fucking last-ditch tackle. And he bullied the guy at the way. He shielded him. He actually used his body to fucking... And he didn't even look as if he was trying. There was no effort at it. He's just absolutely...
McGinty was the one who brought that up. And it's a very, very kind of poignant point because he's taking responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, as a midfielder, every player knows their job. But for him to be like box to box, that's literally box to box. And that is the definition of it. Because at one point he's attacking, and the next minute he's spotting a runner, and he is sprinting like fuck to get back. And he cajoles Kent, their fastest player, off the ball. Like, if he never made that run, then we were proper exposed. And for him to have that work ethic, because it's been, whenever we had Dan Orlowitz, whenever you had that podcast with him, I forget how many views we had on that one, but
6,000 plus. Just saying, well done, guys.
Kind of like Carol Froch, I fought in front of 80,000 fans at Wembley back in the day. But Dan Orlowitz made the point that Japanese players, in terms of their culture as sports people, they take a massive pride in their work ethic, and I think it's the proof is in the pudding. From like Maeda, from his pressing down, to Hatate with his box to box running. We had some brilliant comments. A guy called, was it Dan? He said that he's been a fan of 52 years, and it's one of the best ever games that he's. Sorry, pardon me, Kenneth. One of the best games that you've ever witnessed, and you're enjoying the discussion, mate. Thank you very much for your contribution, and we feel the same. There's just so many topics to get through. I don't know where to kind of move from one thread to the next.
Well, I'll move it on just slightly, because I just like Kevin's question here, and I want to answer it just by quickly saying that the easy answer to that question, Kevin, is neither. They're worth more than 50 million right now.
I'll tell you,
the way these two have hit the ground running, 50 million is not enough.
We can get a jetty down to the Glasgow fucking City Council, pay £50 to get his name changed to Rio Hatate and sell him to Man City for 50 million.
Do that.
I'm thinking about identity fraud right now. That's my profession kicking in right now. Sorry to bore you guys. Right, okay, but guys, I prefer that game. Was that Fud Roaster there? What's he talking? What's he saying? Fud Roaster's always funny.
Fud Roaster's having a few comments with Kevin and I think Kenneth in the comments as well. I love that the wee community we're building here. Everybody's just freely talking away the comments. I'm trying to highlight a few of them, but it's that many. It's hard going.
Hey guys, so as soon as we're finishing celebrating the Rio Hatate second goal, Abada gets his third goal. Abada gets our third goal, and the defendant is comical. But again, we're talking about Celtic. We put them under pressure, and we make them make mistakes. So it's like a throw-in on the left-hand side in their own half. I don't know who it was, but the throw-in was to Rio Hatate. Rio just lets it casually bounce, and he just lobs it into their box. And Abada steals in front of Barisic, and yes, I'm going to use that word, Barisic. Steals in front of him, and he knocks it in with a volley. McGregor had no chance. That was like Keystone Cops moment, and it just couldn't get any better at that point. You're going in at halftime 3-0 up. Have we known anything like that? I forget the 6-2 game, what the scoreline was at halftime, but that was almost 20 odd years ago. So anybody?
Abada, is that what we're talking about? Sorry, I keep reading the comments.
By the way, Abada has had his praise and his criticism.
He has, and I've backed him more often than not in here, and I know a couple of you have kind of been on his back a few times, because we all be honest, he's 19, just turned 20 this season. He's in a foreign country. I think it's his first move out of Israel, I think it is. He's going to blow hot and cold. And for the record, guys, he's going to blow cold again at some point. It might not happen this season. It might happen this season. It's going to happen. He's still developing. But you can see the difference between now and the start of the season, 4 or 5 months on. The guy is more energetic. He's got more desire and determination. He's driving us forward. He's cutting in from the right to the central as the ball's going out to the left. He said we attack, you bringing the cross in. It was an absolute brilliant touch to put it beyond McGregor for a great third goal. And he's just going to get better and better. As the guys are saying in the comments here, it's 13 goals and 8 assists so far this season. This guy's going to hit 20 goals this season. And people are saying that he's shite at points during the season. Like a few weeks ago, people were saying he was shite and that he's not good enough to be starting. We need to drop him or else we need Forrest back. Forrest can't get a look in because of Abada now, the last few games.
Can I raise a question to the guys in the comment section? Who do you think, traditionally, who do you think us as Celtic fans can be more harshly critics of? Are we more harsh on youth products coming through? Are we more harsher on foreign investment? So if you compare James Forrest at that age coming through to Abada at this age right now, who are we more harsher on in terms of criticism? But again, we're going into half time and we have forced Rangers' hands. So they brought off Diallo, the $60 million man. They brought off Barisic, who I think Barisic forgot that he was a footballer because he get roasted by Abada. And they brought off Kamara, who I know that we don't like to give compliments to Rangers, but I think Kamara is not a bad player. But they brought off those three players and they brought on Sakala, Balogun and Ryan Jack coming back from injury. So yeah, we're forced our hand and we really, really embarrassed Van Bronckhorst. So David Boy thinks we're harsher on foreigners, yeah? That's my fair comment. Fair comment. Saying that, Mikey Johnson, are we fair? I don't know. Are we harsh or fair or Mikey Johnson? But guys, the golf in performance. They're shit, and we see it as it is.
That's fair enough, my man. That's my logic, and I'm fucking going with it as well, mate.
I would like to think that we're not xenophobic in terms of, sorry for using a pure pompous word, but would you see it as it is? I would like to think that a bit of both depends on the player. Aye. Guys, the golf in performance last night compared to, and definitely harsher on youth products or on young products, but always been that way. But when they do great, we love them even more.
I think that's probably quite true there from Mick. For me, if you look at young products coming through, we get awfully excited. The new one just now is Ben Dokes. But as soon as they have a poor game or two, like Abada has this season a couple of times, the way we can turn on young products is really harsh. But then as soon as they do make it, Kieran Tierney, for example, that's it. They've made it for us. They'll be, cult heroes, legends in the making if they choose to stay here that long. Forrest, it took him a while, but eventually I think everybody's turned onto the good side for Forrest. Everybody loves him. It takes some time. Ralston, there's another one from David Boy. Ralston's a perfect example. Whipping boy for the last 3 years. Even when he wasn't even playing for us, he was out on loan, he was still the whipping boy. But this season, even I've turned to a big fan of Ralston.
He would have been itching to come on as a sub. You can bet your bottom dollar for that. Guys, the golfing performance. So we know that we played Rangers at Mordor earlier on this season. We get beat 1-0 and we did not disgrace ourselves without a shadow of a doubt. They beat us 1-0. It was a Herlander header, I think it was. But the golfing performance last night, it bears no resemblance whatsoever to that 1-0 victory at Ibrox for the Orcs. Now, 9 of the 11 players last night for Celtic were like they weren't playing in the first game at Rangers. So how do you size up the difference between our mentality from last night going into that game compared to last night or compared to the earlier part of the season? Is it night and day, Paddy?
No as much as that, Gav, because see the first game that we played against them, we were pretty much in control of that game, right? The only difference was they were clinical and we weren't. We could have won that game maybe 3-1, right? But it so turns out that because we never took our chances and there was a couple of unlucky moments.
The fact Kyogo was playing left wing instead of
I mean, Kyogo missed 2 gilt-edged chances with Edward, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. But we missed the chances. They never. They scored a Highlander goal. Like, I think it was their one and only chance of the game. But we went there kind of fresh out the packet. New manager, new team, new mentality. Went there to try and play with this brand new approach. It almost worked, but it quite didn't. Right? What happened last night, Gav, McGinty, was we've developed on this approach, right? The players have developed it. They've worked for months under Ange. He's now got players into the system that fits his system, that he wants into his system. And everything that appeared last night was just a culmination of everything positive. It just it just worked, right? The players went out in that pitch with an intensity that we've not seen for a long, long time for a Celtic team. But we've got for Ange. But we were so good yesterday that we made them look shite, right? And that's the way it's going to be. They couldn't get a sniff because we were so good. I've said it time and time again for last season onwards. This is Gerrard's team, basically, right? So since he's come in, see any team that has a go at them and any team that gets into their face and doesn't give them a minute, they shite themselves. They absolutely collapse. And that's what happened. It was a total capitulation because every single Celtic player got in their faces and never gave them a minute. Every single one of their players, they were fucking shell-shocked. They were like rabbits in headlights. And this is the team that is the seasoned team who's been playing together for the last 3 years with fucking new additions being fucking the £65,000 billion player for Man United. You know what I mean? Just adding into that team. So that shows you that they're not that good a team. And we are. But the difference is that we need to know we can't be too overly confident. We need to continue to work the way that we're doing. Do it with humility. You look at the way Postecoglou's speaking, that's the way it needs to permeate through the squad. He's coming out with these absolutely beautiful human quotes saying, you know, a game of football, but 60 some people might be coming to the game last night with fucking worries in their mind and this and that and problems, he says, but for 90 fucking minutes, he says they get to forget that because they come here and watch football. That's what it's about. You know what I mean?
Mate, that was a beautiful, beautiful quote. That like at times, like football's football. We love it. Like we breathe football in Scotland, but sometimes he's just like a brilliant human being as well as a brilliant sportsman, a brilliant manager. I know that I've never met the guy. It just sounds like a brilliant player. It sounds like a brilliant manager. But another comment that he made whenever he first became the manager was, "I'm not buying players. I'm buying human beings." And that's one of the things. Like, I know that we get a comment about Matt O'Reilly. And that's one of the ones, like, you look at his YouTube comment, you look at his YouTube clips, and you're like, aye, it looks okay. But the fact that he came through that powder keg at Tynecastle, put in a brilliant performance, and played in the Celtic and Rangers game, and again, put in a brilliant performance, it shows that not only is he signing players who are of great ability, but he recognises the mentality. He understands human beings. And at the end of the game, he was the last man to leave Celtic Park to go down that tunnel. Everybody stayed until he was the last man down that tunnel. And he was clapping every man, woman and child. He understands, he gets what it is to be a Celtic man.
Aye, and every single one of the players are telling you now, it's like a family, it's like a close-knit squad. O'Reilly, by the way, who had a fucking fantastic game for a debutant in that kind of game. Amazing, brilliant young guy. He said it after the game. He says he's never ever even contemplated an atmosphere like it. He says he was just totally amazed. He says England anywhere. He says it's just something that will live with him forever. Every single one of the players, you see them, they're fighting for each other. There's a fucking unity there. There's a team spirit and there's a desire in this team now. And it all came for Ange. Obviously, it's not all came for Ange. He's been at the forefront there. He's putting players into positions where they believe in themselves now. And that's what's happened. There's been a 6-point swing. But we were behind them. They were looking comfortable. New manager in, winning games, blah, 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 blah. And then as we see what can happen at times, like, soon as you drop the ball, to take the fucking phrase, the other team can move in. And that's what's happened. We are now 1 point ahead. We are top of the league with 14 games.
Top of the league.
Top of the league, number 1 with 14 games to go. Aye. Wow, brilliant performance, brilliant fucking moment. But again, moving on, we need to screw them up. We need. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. See, as good as the first half was. First half was awesome, fantastic first half. Ange used a bit of savvy last night. He didn't just go out and play the exact same way. See the second half, mate, they camped it in a wee bit and they soaked up the pressure. Brilliant game management. So he's learning. He's learning that you can't just go fucking gung-ho all the time. And that was brilliant. I loved it. Thoroughly loved it. As much as it was entertaining, it was brilliant.
That's something I was going to bring up earlier when we were talking about the difference between this game and the first game and the start of the season to now. And I think what you just said there as well, the difference between the first half and the second half last night, it's so pleasing to see, exactly as you said there, Paddy, Ange is learning. Because we've done games like this early in the season where we went gung-ho and we've started, let's look at the Real Betis game, bang, 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 get to the second half, burn out, lose possession, lose control of the game, lose the game. First game against them, we put Kyogo out on the left. I think he's played 2 or 3 times in parts out on the left. Has he played there since the Rangers game in the first? I don't think he has. Lesson learned, doesn't do it again. You've got players who have came in and just had a look at it, went 1-2 games, you're not quite cutting it. Some of the younger lads, you're not quite ready. He doesn't try them again. He's giving somebody else another shot. Moffat just came in. Now Dokes is coming in. You're seeing these things where he's trying something and he's learning from it and he's not doing it again if it's not working, but he's not shying away from things and going into his little comfort zones, going to his trusted players. He's ruthless, but he's honest and he's driving us forward. The difference for me from last night to the first game is that we have learnt. The players have learnt. The manager's learning. And we as fans, I believe every single one of us as fans is actually getting an education of football, watching Ange manage his team. We're all understanding much, much more what he's trying to do because we can see it on the pitch and we can hear him talking about it. We understand his philosophy. We understand what he wants to bring to it. And last night was a game of 2 halves that we completely controlled. First half, destroyed them. 3 goals, could have been 5 or 6. Second half, we stood off the gas pedal a little bit. We let them have a bit more of the ball, but we were in complete control all the time. Not once were we trouble. Well, once we were trouble, they hit the bar. It was the only highlight that Sky managed to put on their wee highlight reel was them hitting the bar in the last 5 minutes. They didn't have anything else. They really didn't have anything. We dominated that game from start to finish in 2 different ways. It was brilliant.
Again, it kind of leads me on to one of the most important questions that I feel. If you don't think it's important, then fucking tell me. But as I said earlier on, sorry, we've got Eddie here. We could have stepped up a gear in the second half if we needed it any time. We didn't go under any pressure. We had the game was in the bag for the full 90 minutes. I agree. I thought about the second half, and I think it'd be remiss of us to not mention the second half before I even mention that question I was going to pose to you, McGinty. I think that Rangers made obvious tactical changes in the second half. It was to get the lion's share of possession and try and make inroads. Over the course, they had a couple of half chances. I don't even need to remind you of the half chances that they had. They hit the bar from a very, very speculative effort. And Arfield had, again, a speculative effort, but it was rising above the bar. Hart never had to make one save and a full-blooded save, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. The only good thing Hart had to do was in the first half when he had to snuff out Arfield from a through ball from a rebel.
There's a snuff out and there's 2 shots that went routine right to his arms and he just dropped his knees to comfort the ball. Nothing troubled him.
I think in general we were streetwise in the second half. Rangers, although they did have the lion's share of possession in the second half, and the stats at that point over the 90 minutes flattered to deceive. That was not a reflection of the game itself. So my question to you, McGinty, I know that Paddy is a Limp Bizkit fan, is taking a look around right now. Look, the season is unfolding very, very nicely. It's not quite how many people would have anticipated it going into February, because for me, February is the championship rounds, the season-winning months where you need to put a good run of games, a good run of wins in order to solidify your position. So we're going into this. We've got good momentum, whereas Rangers have got bad momentum. So I think Rangers are they going back to their winter meltdown syndrome? Because they've only won 1 and 4 since the lockdown. And I was thinking, like, normally we go off to Dubai and stuff like that, but from Rangers' performance over the past 4 games, you would have think that Van Bronckhorst took them off to like an Amsterdam fucking coffee club or something like that for the way that they're playing right now, because they look very, very lackadaisical. So you've got Borna Barisic, who apparently we were led to believe by the media that he was the best left back in the country. He's still taken off at half time. Their captain.
Jovanovic is the best right back and left back in the country at the same time.
And Aribo, we've been told that is their best performer, but he goes at snail play. He's not fast. He looks like a kind of, he prefers like a European kind of rhythm to the game. He doesn't go at the Scottish pace of the game.
No, but Gav, see him and players like him, they prefer it when they're playing an opposition who don't go and attack them. See, when they've got all that time to sit on the ball, they look comfortable. It's Kamara, Davis, guys who, when nobody attacks them, they've got all the time and space on the ball to go and look for a pass, and they can do it at leisure, and they look so good. But then when they come up against wee teams that come and have an attack at them, they shite themselves. When they come up against Celtic and that kind of form, they fucking totally roll over.
I've been saying that, Paddy, for a couple of years now, at least, especially last year under the Lennon management. We were so scared to have a go at them, to put 2 up top at times last season. And I kept saying about every other team in the league, stop being scared of them. And every time you saw any team put 2 players up top or try and play through them, your Hibs, your St. Johnstones at times, they got something out of the game. If they didn't get something out of the game, they're holding them 1 each until the last 2-3 minutes before they snuck a penalty or some crap like that. You get something that if you just go at them, they are awful at being on the back foot, especially the back pair. You run at them and they go all hands. They get turned so easily. They have no clue what they're doing.
And see as well, just to touch on that, mate. See now that they've got Van Stonchhorst in as the manager, right? He still plays with the same formation, which is a 4-3-3, right? But what he does is he stifles their players, right? The fans hate him. They hate him already now, right? Obviously because he's been beat. But there's some of them that are savvy enough to actually sit and analyse it. And what he does is, mind I says to you the other day, their danger was doing the flanks. So that included their fullbacks as well as their wide men. So Tavernier and Barisic, they're stifled. They're not getting the room and freedom to run forward. They're sitting back and just having to kind of wait because the manager's kind of holding them back with the reins, which is great for us. But listen, we've set a marker now. We have showed them what we can do, right? And we've also showed everybody what they can do when you put them under pressure. It's happening again this season because last season, McGinty, as you were saying, so many anomalies, right? Not just on the football pitch, but in life as well, all the kind of stuff that was happening. They were allowed to basically play with no supporters on their back at all. That's how guys like Tavernier flourished, right? Because as soon as somebody shouts at him, his fucking arse collapses. His arse collapses. He is a nervous wreck, that guy. And it shows. He was terrible again last night, and that's the captain. Come on. He's the guy that's supposed to be leading the team. You look at their captain, you look at his performance, and you look at our captain and the spirit he showed. Do you know what I mean? It's night and day.
Night and day. And Ford Roaster put in a good comment, and you use a nice word, dissipated. You're a man after my own heart. And that's it. I hope that the other SPL teams have watched the Rangers' performance and have noticed how vulnerable the Rangers' defence is, and they can actually exploit that. Hearts will be that's another thing. Hearts are going to Ibrox, thinking that they're going to get something for Rangers. And why not? Why not? Because apart from Rangers, well, in fact, no, I think we would all agree, Hearts by far, by a mile, have given us our strongest test this season.
Yeah.
Aye, Tynecastle.
Open the day.
But this is the difference when you go to a player like a club like Hearts and you go to their ground, they play with that kind of swagger of being the home team. They play with that confidence because the fans there give them that extra kind of incentive. But when you go and you play away at a team like a ground like fucking Ibrox or Celtic Park, whatever, these teams try and sit back, and it allows that other team to go and play football.
Mate, Joseph Agnew. So whenever you were to compare the first Celtic and Rangers game to last night, we have massively improved. The personnel has changed. The psyche has changed, and the relationship between the team on the park and the fans have changed as well. So Paddy, McGinty, I guess if you want to kind of talk about between now and our expectancy between now and the end of the season, where do you think it will end up at? I know that we want to be wildly optimistic. I know that both of you guys tipped us to win the league at the start of the season, so I know that you've not changed that idea, that viewpoint. But how far can we progress? How far can we get better domestically this season?
Personally, at the start of the season, I was still confident we couldn't be any worse than we were last season. I was still confident that we were going to win the league at the end of it. We got to a point where we were 6 points behind them. We've now turned that around to be a point ahead. And we've only just entered February. We've still got another 4 months of this, 14 games to go. I don't want to get carried away. I feel like we still are 3 or 4 players away from coming back. Julian, Kyogo, Rogic, and probably somebody else under the radar that I'm missing. To have a good match day squad for rotation reasons, because we are, as we saw with Abada, he pulled up a little bit yesterday. Hopefully he's all right. But we need to manage the players through. So I'm careful to get carried away, because we could see a wee bit of an injury crisis again. We could lose 2 or 3 players in one go again. But hopefully we don't. Hopefully get everybody back and we go forward. My point now is we're still going to win the league. We'll win it by a few points. We'll win it by a couple of games early, I'm pretty sure. But I'm starting to wonder, like a few other people, and this is where the cockiness will come out. What can we do in this Europa Sexy Conference League? Because
I will tell you
who's in that league.
I will tell you. So to the viewers who are watching us tonight, we are setting up a wee podcast with a Bodo Glimt fan. I think this guy actually works for the club on an official capacity, but on the side he has his own podcast. It's completely in Norwegian, but thank fuck he actually does speak English. So I am going to pimp myself out and talk on their Norwegian podcast, because
Have you got that sorted now?
I've been brushing up on my European skills, mate. I am fluent in anything, man.
Was that a wee pun there? No intended there, Gav, brushing up. The big toothbrush.
Oh, with the dental brush.
Oh, mate, I didn't get that. Aye. So, guys, if you don't know, Bodo Glimt have got a weird thing where they carry about giant toothbrushes. So, again, if you're heading to Parkhead on the 17th of February, that's the first leg at Parkhead, don't get chipped by a toothbrush. Watch out for that, please. But I'm going to go on the Norwegian podcast. That'll be funny as fuck. But they're going to return the favour and come on to our podcast, and we're going to fud roast them with a toothbrush and talk about everything that's worth knowing about Bodo Glimt, so that you guys know about what to expect from Bodo Glimt, because that mob beat Jose Mourinho's Roma 7-1.
See,
yes,
that's true to say, but you look at the what was it, Alkmaar, we played in the qualifiers, and they've had a couple of good seasons in European competitions, and we, at the very start of this whole transition period under Ange, we put in a good performance against them. We saw the frailties of playing a lot of youngsters and a lot of fringe players who really shouldn't be at the club at times. But it's night and day from then to now, and we're in full Ange ball flow. I don't see why we should be scared of anybody in the Europa 60 conference.
We can only get better. There's no fucking ways about it, right? Me personally, you know how I feel about the Europa fucking conference, whatever it's called. I couldn't care less about it, right? Obviously, I still want to win every trophy, but the league is the bread and butter. That's what we want. 2 guys that we've not actually spoken about yet. Joe Hart, with a fucking incredible save, 1-on-1. He has been a rock solid leader, an excellent addition to the squad. And Jota, Jota's fucking still getting better as it is. But we've got guys like Julian coming back, right? We've got Kyogo to come back for injury. Maeda's still to come in and play to his potential. Turnbull still to come back. Rogic is still to come back.
Turnbull, that's the other one.
Ideguchi, Forrest is there.
Ideguchi as well, yeah.
Can I, one comment? It's nothing to do with anything you're saying. This is not Guinness. This is Coke Zero. But carry on, Paddy.
Thanks for that. Giacomakis, by the way, who covered every inch that he had to. Blade of grass that he had to. The guy's work rate was phenomenal. As much as he didn't score, he brought everybody into the game. He did exactly what I wanted him to do. He ruffled up the defenders. He can only get better as well. He can only bring more into the game as his confidence comes up, as his it gets more settled into the squad and how we play. We are looking so much more capable. You know, even Postecoglou, mate. Postecoglou said yesterday, Hatate's still no playing to his strengths. He's still got a lot of work to do. Come on,
it's frightening. It's frightening, you know what I mean? How much better he get.
But that just shows you how much demands that our manager has got, and it's not just a big horrible kind of old-fashioned kind of manager says you better get fucking better, you better do this and better do that. He's actively trying to coach the guys to be the best that they can be.
Seeing that I think it was that same interview. The interviewer asked him, like, you won 3-0. In your wildest dreams, would you have ever envisaged a 3-0 victory? And he said, you've got no idea what I dream about. And I know that can be a wee bit sinister, but at the same time, I love that. I love that because his ambitions are apparently unlimitless.
Aye. Listen, everything that Ange is doing now, mate, it's just permeating into everything. You look at the bench yesterday. See when the goals were scored and it was going to the bench, the camera to look at Postecoglou. You see everybody. You see nobody's slagging Gavin Strachan anymore. Nobody's slagging John Kennedy, Steve McManus. Everybody's in unison. Everybody's in tandem. Everybody's working off the same fucking hint sheet. Everybody is.
Why is that? Why is it, McGinty?
Because there's a certain man not stinking the place out anymore.
Lennon.
Aye.
But anyway, that's the whole point. We've now got a guy who's running the show, right? And this guy's hands are in everything. He's controlling everything, but in the most positive way possible. Everybody is learning off him. Everybody's feeding off him. He's got that kind of aura about him. He's got that relaxed vibe, you know, that anything that you do will be rewarded. And I'm pretty sure he'll come down hard on you, but he'll come down hard on you in the right way if you're not doing your job.
And he's got a positive relationship with the hierarchy, with what's the guy, the chief executive?
Nicholson. Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be good.
He's got this kind of approach to the media as well, where he doesn't take any shit, but he's no a snarling fucking Rottweiler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which can be good in scenarios, but it doesn't always present the best kind of facade, if you want. But I just love the way that he deals with the media. I love the way that he's himself, he's positive, and everything is just all about being the best that they can be. It's not about being the best, it's about being the best that you can be. And that's probably one of the best ways that you can elevate somebody is by giving them self-belief and confidence, and you're getting that. You look at all these young boys that's getting brought through now and getting the game. Doak's obviously the last one. He brought the boy on against Rangers. Give him his Glasgow derby debut. That wee guy's going to remember that forever, and that's because of the manager has got that he's got that belief in his players, and he does it to try and give them that experience. Do you know what I mean? He's not just about being a football player, as you've said. It's about life. He's trying to give this wee guy life experience. Done it with Monty, done it with Moffat, done it with Doak. You know what I mean? It's the club's a really, really great place to be there now, and it's only going to get better. And it's all about how we maintain standards and don't drop and fucking attitude. Perfect.
I'm going to say this quickly because I don't want to end up in a whole discussion about it. Not tonight anyway, because we're kind of running out of time.
Gordon.
And no. This is going to be a whole conversation that hopefully we can have in the season. I'm ignoring everything you're saying about this guy. But you know my love affair with wanting to see the structure properly changed at the club. And I feel like we're barely scratching the surface of actually doing proper change there. But an idea that's went through my head today is quite simply get Ange tied down for the next 2-3 years. Let him build this whole philosophy and DNA into the club. And then you know what? Say to the guy, do you want to be the director of football of Glasgow Celtic? And give the guy a 10-year job as a director of football of Glasgow Celtic after a few years here, and let us build a modern identity of a club, of a football club. Because what his philosophy and what his vision is exactly what Celtic's all about.
I love your optimism, but I think you're fucking. You need to calm yourself down a bit, mate. You need to try and win the league first. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and you've got a passion for football, and you've got a passion for the theory of football and the theory of Ange Postecoglou. So if 1 add 1 equals 2, then that would be the logical point of view. But reality is reality, and everybody's got their own different ambitions. I think the thing that I take from Postecoglou is that he's going to be a nomad in football. He's going to move from X, Y to Z. He's done it in Australia. He's done it in Japan. He's doing it. He's doing it. Not yet done it in Scotland, but he's doing it. And after he's conquered Scotland, I think eventually you've got a shelf life as a Celtic manager, such as Martin O'Neill, such as Strachan, 3, maybe 4 years. Sometimes you see your 4th year and you become the villain. What was the previous comment? Anything noteworthy before we finish up for tonight? Kenny, by the way, Kenny, mate, thank you very much for just continuing to post in. Can you remember when the Rangers fans told us, yes, I'm using that word, the Rangers fans told us that Ange would be gone by Christmas? How stupid do they look?
Kenny,
by the way, Kenny, there were Celtic fans, after a point, they were saying, nah, need to get rid of him. But you remember before that Aberdeen game, that poignant, pivotal game against Aberdeen at Pittodrie, when I think it was Jota who got the winner. You remember before then how bleak things were looking, and some people were saying, get rid of him. But we're here now. How positive are things?
It's a brilliant where we are right now, especially after last night. It's a new belief in the rest of the season. The belief was already there, but newfound, new rejuvenated belief. I don't see how we don't win the treble and go deep into the Europa Conference 60.
See, the thing is, see the entire club, right? The team, everything off the park, the supporters, the match day experience, everything has become so infectiously positive. I was reading a couple of tweets and that kind of through the night, and there were people going tweeting and saying, like, the whole environment now and the change for last season, there's people who are struggling with mental health issues and like that is totally, it's not curing it, but it's becoming a drug that is it's making it positive for people. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just affecting people as football players, it's affecting people's lives. Do you know what I mean? And that's because of everything that's been done. It's a collective effort by everybody. You look at the Green Brigade and that yesterday. Look at the work that they done. Their tifos were amazing, and I just wanted to throw that in before we finish up because I totally forgot to bring it up earlier. The first tifo that they did was incredible. The boys coming through the fucking plastic with the flares, telling a certain team to go back to hell, that kind of thing. And then I tell you what, the best one that I've seen for a long time that I've done was the second tifo. They had banners out at the front, down at the bottom, and it was a few rows of letters, and it was basically like quotations for the other mob that we played yesterday, giving it 55 titles, best team in the world, this and that, we never died, liquidation, and above it, they unveiled a picture of Pinocchio, right? But see his nose, mate, it was an extendable nose, and every time that the letters came at the bottom, his nose get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's fucking tremendous. So a massive fucking well done to the boys. And the boys as well, the boys, they were brilliant enough through the entire match. Everybody was just brilliant. Everybody was just loving life yesterday.
I think it's...
And sorry. And the wee guy as well that ran on at half time, that was superb. Just as the teams were coming back on, a wee guy came running on for the Rangers end all the way up. Fucking brilliant.
Before we do wrap up, just as you say about the wee guy running, before we wrap up, we've kind of scuttered around it earlier, but we need to give a big shout out to the ball boys. They were fantastic last night, and the two behind the goal taking the utter piss right out of McGregor. Where you see it for a split second just as it happens before the camera turns off, and I've not seen a better angle yet. But McGregor goes to get the ball, the ball boy on the right side behind the goal, and he just passes it to his mate at the other side of the goal, and McGregor just stood there lost. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think that's when the ref went and spoke to one of the stewards about it.
It must be bad when the Rangers managers actually complaining about the ball boys being taller than him.
I saw that comment. If you never say that, I was going to say it, mate. Aye, and by the way, all the Twitter comments has been fantastic. It's such a a roller coaster of entertainment on Twitter, and there's a lot of toxicity on Twitter, but I've had a lot of fun reading the comments there. We will win the Conference League this season, mate. Yeah, we're going to do the podcast with the guy from Bodo Glimt. Now, this is a place where you get set about by polar bears because it's that north of Norway. Like, honest to God, it's that dangerous. So I will let you know about that. I will do the Norwegian podcast, and then we'll bring the guy on to us into the lines then of the Jungle Gyms podcast, and we'll talk about that. But guys, this has been one of the most fun episodes of the podcast since our infancy that I've taken part in. I've really enjoyed it. But we've talked about so much: the game, the atmosphere, the connotations of the title moving forward, the legacy of Postecoglou and his short tenure as Celtic manager. Guys, any kind of final thoughts for you guys before we finish off? And by the way, the comments have been golden so far.
Mate, just everything we've been saying, it was an absolute fantastic game of football last night. And the best part of it, in the grand scheme of things, this is just the beginning. It's going to get better.
Aye, listen, it's been something that we've been kind of waiting patiently for, as the chance to actually talk about, the day after finally beating them, because it's been a monkey on the back, no beating them for over a year. Laughing in our faces, no fans allowed, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So this is a great day for everybody as a Celtic supporter. So long may it continue.
I think we've just lost a paddy there. A mad frozen paddy in the moment.
Well, it's a good camera angle because we'll see all the shit he's got up his nostril. He needs to clean that stuff out, man. Hopefully he'll get back to his normal angle view. But guys, to the viewers, thank you so much. I'm sure that you enjoyed it as much as what we did. And I hope that you agree with me, because at the end of the season, if it turns out to be a successful league win, then that win last night, the 3-0, will be talked about in the same vein as the 5-1 and the 6-2. I don't think that you could disagree with that. And I'm kind of glad that we never had to talk about the referee last night. And one comment that I even failed to make, I don't mean to digress, but I am totally digressing, is we didn't give away unnecessary free kicks last night. That would have made it. We did not. And I think that shows how savvy we were last night in the first half and in the second half.
But by the way, there was one point, and it was totally, I totally forgot about it, but you've just reminded me. See, early on in the game, they had a corner, and we didn't have one person marking the posts. So that really annoyed me, but I'm no what to bring up any negativity, but that's something we'll need to look at in the future, because there genuinely was not one person on the post, and we've lost goals against them for the corners. But anyway, doesn't matter. 1-3-0, finished, absolute beauty. Let the hangover commence.
Hindsight would say that was the right decision, Paddy, but I'm not going to digress any further, pal. Guys, we have been loving it. We've absolutely been loving it. From McGinn to Paddy. By the way, the weather in Glasgow has been horrible, and it's kicking up a storm since the day that I was born. I'm about to launch into an Oasis tune right now, but I've been loving it. And by the way, it was roll with it last night. As soon as the 90 minutes, the full time whistle, it was roll with it by the Gallagher brothers. A brilliant atmosphere, and I've really enjoyed it tonight. So, any final thoughts for you guys before we call it a full time whistle for the podcast? And by the way, Sunday we're playing Motherwell away. I forget the kickoff time, but we'll do a post match review. Aye.
Just
I think
again,
it's 1 o'clock.
I think it's 1 o'clock. Aye. We'll do one straight after on Sunday again. But to all the comments, I've tried to keep up with as many as I can, guys, but there's been hundreds, I feel like, today. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Thank you always for being here. Some of you have been here for quite a while. It's just brilliant seeing the comments flying in. It's fantastic.
And Daza, our own Daza, travelling up from Timbuktu to Glasgow. Mate, you better get home for the celebrations.
Hey, lads, all the best.
All the best for the Jungle Gyms. Good night.